Welcome to another episode of Throne Mastermind Sessions. The session is beginning. All members are now expected to assume position on their throne.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Throne Mastermind Sessions. This is Eli Marcus. Today's topic is called The Illusion of Power, the Wealth of Peace, the Intimate Cocoon of Your Consciousness. And for those of you who follow my writing, sometimes certain things just drop into my consciousness, into my spirit, and I get this urge to teach on it. I don't know where it comes from. We all have a thing. That's one of my things. It just drops into me, and it's like I just get this desire to articulate this lesson and to teach on it. And that's what I'm experiencing. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. So I want to start by saying, I don't know what comes to my listeners and my readers' mind when I use the term the intimate cocoon of your consciousness, because I'm being as descriptive as I can to describe the maximize experience that a person is having in their life, not the experience they're pretending to have, not the experience that they have deceived themselves into believing they're having, not the experience other people think they're having, not the experience they're trying to project to be having, but the real experience of their life in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness, the part of them that they don't show the world, the part of them, the part of their minds, the part of their life that they will probably only share with like a therapist or like a priest during confession, or like just some deep intimate conversation that they're having with someone and they say something that they haven't said in 30 years, or the experience that they're having behind the scenes that they'll probably tell their best friend or something, maybe. Do you know that there's so many experiences happening when a person is having an experience? When you have an experience, there's so many things happening at once. Let's really analyze the different rims that are happening at once when you're having an experience, when you're having an interaction with life, with people, places, and things. There's the experience that you look like you're having. There's the experience that other people think you're having. And that's super freaking subjective, because 10 people can be looking at you and their perception of your experience could all literally be different. So you times that by a few hundred or a few thousand, you're talking about there's all of those experiences that's happening when you're having an experience. And there is the experience that you have been deceived into thinking you're having. There's the experience that you're trying to have, or you're trying to project that you're having. And then there's the experience that you're actually having. There's the part of your soul, the part of your spirit, the part of your consciousness that is totally naked. That's the real maximized experience that you're actually having, that you take home with you. There's the experience that other people are having. Even if they're in the experience, they have their own unique experience of what they experience. Then there's the experience you're having. That's what I consider the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. So when I say that term, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that private, maximized version of your consciousness. The part of your mind that's been with you for the rest of your life, that voice when you think of thought that speaks, the nakedness of your soul, that observation. that channel, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Now follow me here. I'm going somewhere with this. Follow me with that terminology, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness, because now we're going to talk about the illusion of power and the wealth of peace. Because what are we all in pursuit of? The core of what every single living thing on this earth is in pursuit of while evolving is peace. The end goal, the end vision that everyone is thinking of while they're in pursuit of doing whatever the hell they're doing in their life, in their creative pursuits, professional pursuits, personal pursuits. At the end of that goal, they're thinking peace. They're just trying to get a slice of peace in that pursuit. So now that we have established peace is the end goal, and of course, peace is it embodies many things, right? In order to have peace, you got to have safety. In order to have peace, you have to have enough resources where you're comfortable. You have to have comfort. In order to have peace, you have to have the right types of relationships, healthy relationships and connections and community. In order to have peace, you have to have all the tools that you need to develop your personalized interests, whatever that interest is. In order to have peace, you have to have a stable environment. So peace includes all these ingredients. That you gotta have those things to get the peace. So now that we've established that peace is the end goal, that explains the wealth of peace. And we talk about the illusion of power. Follow me here. I'm going somewhere. Many people believe in their concept of reality that they cannot achieve peace without first without achieving this imagery in their mind of power, of having power, achieving power, whatever that looks like for them. Wealth, status, success, that type of thing. You know, they have a certain vision, a certain fantasy in their mind that, okay, when I get this thing, I'm going to get peace. I'm going to have peace. And there's some self-deception that's often there. We'll talk about that. But that's why they pursue power. Power is a common thing that everyone wants to, many people want to have. They want to have more power. They want to get to power. They want that power position. They want to be that alpha. Many, power. I want to be the powerful position, powerful status. And they assume if they achieve power, how that looks in their mind, then they'll achieve peace. Now, here we go. Here's the good part. Get your forks and your knives ready. Chow in. In the pursuit of power, in my observation, many people practice all sorts of deceptive things because they believe they believe that that's what people have to do to achieve power. In their mind, the powerful people that they see, they believe that it requires a level of evil and deception to achieve power. So they allow themselves, in their intimate cocoon of their consciousness, they allow themselves to play all sorts of deceptive games, trickery. And they excuse themselves to do that in their pursuit of power. Power is the motivation. Stabbing people in the back, betraying people, telling people's business, gossiping about folks like a dog that's in their own peer group, throwing people under the bus, all these little social political games that people play, right? The motivation, power. I got to do this to get to the power. That's what they're so fixated on touching power in their mind, how that looks to them, that they're playing all these dark, wicked, sadistic games, pretending to like people they don't. All these sick, twisted games in their pursuit of power. And so many do occupy that seat of power. They get there, they achieve it, they become the president, they become the king, they become the CEO, they get the position. They succeed in establishing a financially successful business. They reach that 6, 7, 8, 9 figure mark, whatever. And they played the games to achieve power. And they get it. They get the power position. But just because you have power does not mean you have peace. Now we're going to develop on this topic. I said just because you have power does not mean you have peace. Now we're going to develop on this topic, and we're going to tie this all into the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Glory. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. That's the topic. That's the topic. Spiritual law is still in effect in all that you do, in every single choice that you make, in your pattern of behaviors, consciously and unconsciously. You got to say unconsciously, because a lot of people do a lot of evil stuff unconsciously, but they still going to pay that debt, and they're going to still feel it in their life experience, in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness. Glory. So this is an important lesson, because many people, they look up to people that they see in positions of power, and they see the thing, they in their minds, they like, man, they get away with doing all this evil. Man, you got to be ruthless to get powerful. And they use that as an excuse to practice ruthless nature, a sadistic, evil, twisted nature in their localized reality with the participants in that reality. They're convinced that this is what it requires to get power. But behind that thought, deep behind that thought is, when I get power, I'll finally have peace. You get it? Okay, we're going to build up on this. So the people you see in positions of power who appear to have massive wealth, massive influence, and you see the history that they did all this sadistic stuff to hold that seat, you don't know what they are experiencing in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness. Yeah, I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care what they're driving. I don't care how the photo shoot look. I don't care about the $10 billion New Deal. None of that. I don't care about, what I'm saying is, those things don't hold a lot of weight in one's intimate cocoon of one's consciousness. Meaning, someone can hold a position of power, but because they are paying a debt, because they violated all sorts of spiritual laws to hold that position, they are still paying that price in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness. And that can come in all sorts of ways. That could come into living in a reality where you literally cannot trust anyone. You hold a great position of power, but every single person talking to you wants something from you, or trying to trick you in something, trying to catch you in a compromising situation, trying to stab you in the back. That is hell in the intimate cocoon of one's consciousness. They're living hell. They can't trust anyone. Someone can hold a position of power and be deeply depressed and lonely and really isolated. We know this about many celebrities. We know this about many people who hold high profile positions. And it's easy to romanticize what you think they're experiencing. Remember what we talked about earlier? When you have an experience, there's like a million different experiences that just happen because people perceive an experience that you just had, even if you're not having the experience that they're perceiving. There are two different realms of consciousness. It's like this. It's not one single experience. The only maximized real experience for you is what you're having in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Glory. And so, when you are fetishizing and fantasizing and wanting what you perceive someone has in life or in their power position, and when you take in content and you take in principles that you live by, where you allow yourself to be deeply deceptive and sadistic and sick and twisted and just darken your nature to get your way, to manipulate narratives, lying, gossiping, slandering, reframing narratives, kissing ass, disingenuousness. When you adopt those types of principles to achieve power, you may or may not hold that seat, but you will still pay the price. Not only will you pay the price, you won't get what you were really after, which was peace, not power. In the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. This is why a part of the title is the wealth of peace. Because that is really the end goal of what everyone is seeking. As they're developing, they really want peace. That's the gift, peace. If I achieve this, I'll finally have peace. A bit more peace, a little bit more peace. They're trying to heighten their quality of peace. That's the end goal. But when you've been socially conditioned to think that in order to achieve that end goal, you have to first get power. And in order to achieve power, you have to adopt this disingenuous behavior pattern. What you're doing is you're putting a lot of violations on your record. And even if you were to achieve that power, you won't be peaceful in that reality. You will not feel peace. You'll feel anguish. Regardless of how it looks, how other people believe it looks, you in your own consciousness will feel anguish. That's hell. Like literally, that's the hell the prophets were talking about, the writers were talking about in the holy books. That is the consequence. That's how a person could have wealth, status, fame, and all these things and still literally be living in hell, in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness, regardless of how their reality appears. You still feel the lashing on your back when you're living in hell, if you have bad relationships, very negative relationships, negative experiences. Some people can't find nobody to love them, and they've been looking for 30 years. Some people are dealing with loneliness, isolation, and there's nothing they feel they can do about it. They've tried everything. They've done surgery. They've gotten coaching. They've gotten a makeover. They've lost weight. They've gained muscle. They moved around town, and they still can't get nobody to hug them consistently. And I'm not saying that condescendingly. I'm saying that to illustrate to you that regardless of what your so-called power position is, how it, it looks like you're powerful or whatever, you cannot run from the experience and the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. And there's no amount of anything on earth that you can do to buy the experience that you really want. So people who are experiencing that long-term isolation, yeah, I believe there's a consequence for something. I do believe that. I believe everything is your vibrational match. You got to learn. You got to figure out what's going on in you. Where's your character issues at? If you want to be partner with someone and you want love in your life and you can't find love, it's your fault. And you need to figure out what's going on with you. Something's wrong with your character. Like something's wrong with all of our character in some area, but you have something in a specific area that's going wrong with your character that you need to evolve and that you need to see. There's a shadow there. And you're not going to find the shadow by trauma bonding with a bunch of people who have the exact same blind spot as you. And who are also running from their development, their character development. I don't want to get off track there. I just had to. Let me get back on track. Because everything is a match. Like if you've used people in the past, right? And for anything, whether it's for sex, for money, if you've manipulated and you use people and because no one saw you using them, because it wasn't documented, it was behind the scenes, it was a private relationship. You used someone to get something out of them. You manipulated them, right? You're going to pay for that. Even if you achieve visual success, even if you achieve material success. If you look at the market, the pattern, there are so many lonely people where relationships do not come easy for them. What are you paying for? There's so many people who are doing really well in their career. They're doing really well with their investments. Things are performing really well in those areas, but they can't find love. They can't find intimacy. And even if it appears that they have found it, if there's a debt there to be owed, they can't find happiness. Their nervous system is in a constant state of being rattled and uncomfortable, as if they are walking through a garden of thorns, regardless of how it looks on the surface. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Glory. So do you see what I'm saying when I'm talking about there's multiple experiences happening all at one time? And then there's the experience that one is having the intimate cocoon of the consciousness. So, just to use Trump as an example, a lot of people don't like Trump. I don't hate Trump at all, but a lot of people hate Donald Trump. And they can't, how did he get that position? How is he the president? He did this and he said this and he thinks you don't know what experience that man is having in the intimate cocoon of his consciousness. But if there is a debt owed, the debt is definitely getting paid, regardless of how it looks. So my final point here is, ladies and gentlemen, prioritize the experience that you are having in the intimate cocoon of your fucking consciousness. Fuck all that other bullshit. Because that is where the kingdom resides. Where you have that maximized experience. A relationship between you and nature. Where you feel it in the heart of your soul. where it imprints core memories. That is what you serve. That is what you prioritize. So when you're making a decision on what you're going to do, where you're going to live, who are you going to date or marry, who are going to be your friends, who are going to be your wise counsel, should you move to that city or not? When you make a choice, you're making it in service to what is going to give you the maximized quality experience in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Hallelujah. Not what gives other people the maximized experience of their perception of you, of the experience that you're having, but what experience you're actually having. That's why the old man sitting by the lake behind his shack somewhere in Bumblefuck, Mississippi, he's more wealthy than the man that might be sitting in the White House with $1 billion in his bank account, $1 billion plus, and able to fly over the world and fly over the world. You don't know what experience people are having in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness. But that's the maximized experience. Some people are getting their ass beat every day in their consciousness. But they know how to play it off. They know how to work it. And unfortunately, many people in our culture have been socially conditioned to prioritize the experience that other people perceive of them versus the experience that they're actually having in the intimate cocoon of their consciousness. Glory. I don't know if I'm tripping or if this lecture is good as fuck. I'm going to listen to it like in a couple of days and see if I'm tripping. But I think this material is very unique, and I think it's good. I think it's solid, and I think it's sensible. I think it's showing the people a collective shadow that most people probably have because they never thought about it that way. And in that, I'm expanding your consciousness. Glory. Glory. In real time, I'm expanding your consciousness. Your concept of reality just expanded because now you have compartmentalized these different channels of reality, and you get to decide which one you're going to serve, what channel you're going to be on, which one you're going to serve. Are you serving the channel? Are you serving the channel of how other people you fear judgment from perceive your reality? Are you serving the channel of what serves the personal evolution and the intimate cocoon of your consciousness, where you have achieved peace? What's going to give you the most peace in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness? I just answered so many questions. I bet so many of y'all had questions about if you should do something, if you should make a certain move in your life, in your profession, a choice you've been struggling with. You're listening to this lecture. The answer is in the lecture. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to serve what's going to give me the most peace in the intimate cocoon of my consciousness. Because unconsciously, I was prioritizing how my choice would be perceived by people who don't matter and by people who are aligned with a reality where I was not going to be comfortable or at peace in the intimate cocoon of my consciousness, despite impressing them upon my power position. Glory. This is good. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Now, for those of you who listened to my live a while ago called Field of Realities, which is a really good one, here's the thing. The game you play by is the game that is the game that's being played on you. You exist within that game. Your pattern of behaviors, how you do others, how you function and move in reality in life, whether you're a thief, a liar, a backstabber, whatever it is, manipulative, whatever dark psychology you're using to achieve your goal in whatever reality, guess what? Guess what the nature is of the people who are in that reality, who are participants in that reality, and who can have an impact on your life. They have your same nature. Dark psychology. So the game you play, literally on an energetic level, you match with people who have your nature. No, it's not every single person literally in your reality has that nature. But the people who's going to impact your life experience, many of those people have your exact same nature of dark psychology. And that's why shit keep happening to you. That's why your shit keep getting stolen. That's why you keep getting scammed. That's why these relationships you get in end up being kissing frogs or whatever. That's why. Everything always makes sense. Your ex wasn't narcissists. They mirror your nature. Therefore, they compromise the experience that you're having in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. It has a low level of peace, but you sold your world with that behavior pattern. You were vibrating those principles, those behaviors. You attracted people in your life experience who co-created experiences with you. You were a victim of your own nature. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. That is what you want more than anything. And yes, that's going to have to involve certain deals being made in your life. For you, unique, for your unique setup and your unique needs. But peace is what you are after. Peace is what you want. Peace is what you're looking forward to on the other side of that hill. But be careful how you decide, what laws you decide to live by on your way up that hill. Because whatever your behavior patterns are, will be the life experiences you meet. It will be people who play by those same rules, and they will have an effect and impact on you. And that will create hell in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness, regardless of what you've achieved. To others. Glory. The illusion of power, the wealth of peace, the intimate cocoon of your consciousness. I'm expanding your consciousness. consciousness expansion. Prioritize peace of what's going to maximize peace in the intimate cocoon of your consciousness, regardless of how it is perceived by other human beings. Because the human beings who match the reality that serves you the best, you have to vibrate on a level where you're matching with those types of people, places, and things who serve the desired reality, where you have the most peace, because peace is winning. And you can have peace and wealth and all those things. You can have peace and financial wealth, etc. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Glory.
This Throne Mastermind session has concluded. Visit thronemastermindsessions.com to inquire about membership and to gain access to more Throne Mastermind sessions. All members may now exit the private session.